Hey everyone, BJ Korros. This is the Hollywood Moment. We're here in Hollywood, all in celebration of the 48th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards on CBS. You'll want to stay tuned to this episode of the Hollywood Moment.
Yes. Adam, tell us a little bit about this year and what we should expect for the Daytime Emmys.
Well, we're on our way back, coming out of these 15, 16 months of pandemic. Last year, we were the first major award show during the COVID lockdown. We had to get really creative. It was a largely at-home ceremony with people on their cameras, their laptops, doing their acceptance speeches entirely from home. Now, we're not entirely out of the woods yet. We can't quite get back to a fully in-person ceremony like we hope to next year in Pasadena. But we want the fans and the community to see there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And so we've gathered here in Burbank, getting some of the stars together on the red carpet, on the Emmy stage for what should be, I think, the most unique of the COVID-era award show ceremonies.
You know, a lot of eyes are going to be watching, taking notes, and trying to make their plan for the next coming award shows. Does that put a lot of pressure on you in some respects that you want to be the best? Daytime is thriving more than ever, and we've got something to show you.
I think we want to show the community that you can be creative, you can experiment with the format, that COVID has been a challenge, but it has also given opportunity. That out of this experience, we can play with the format, that we are not tied to, well, that's the way it's always been done. And we could say, well, how can we do it differently? How do we respond to this challenge by experimenting with the format, by trying new things to bring back that community experience we have all missed and are going to come back to again?
This year has been one of the most exciting years for the Academy and what you all have done to help educate the talent and educate people on the voting. It's a different year. We've got to applaud that because there's so many positive things. Being that you guys have been active and out in the faces of all the talent with social media, with the Zoom and the instructional classes, so to speak. Has that evolution, you think, bettered too for the Academy and voting and everything else that we're looking forward to for the 48th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards?
Ultimately, credibility of the process is the bedrock of the Emmy Awards. Otherwise, we're just a trophy company.
Right.
And so it is essential that every participant in the competition have faith in the process and understand the process. And so that is why we have completely overhauled the judging and tabulation process. It's why we had webinars and direct engagement of the participants and the judges to make sure they were fully invested. It's why we've made a wholesale rewrite of our rule books and made sure to convey that across the community. And I think that has boosted that confidence and faith from the community. We've certainly seen it in entries. Every one of our competitions, daytime, sports, news and documentary, across the board this year set records for the most entries ever in the history of our competitions.
What do you think it was? People started pivoting and saying, I'm going to fight my way through this and I can do it, and therefore I'm challenging myself to come out stronger?
I think it's a mix of things. I think, number one, there's great content being produced. And certainly if you look in some of the other genres like sports, it's not just big playoff games to enter. It's the playoff games, but then also regular season games that, because they were rising to the challenge of COVID, also had Emmy-worthy material they wanted to submit, and so on. In daytime, same story. Rising to the challenge of COVID on top of the regular narratives and stories they wanted to tell. Also in daytime this year, we welcomed many of the children's categories that had previously been recognized in our sister organization's primetime competition. So that grew the daytime competition, so now all children's programming is recognized under one roof. We had more than 3,100 submissions to the daytime competition this year.
Amazing.
We only broke through 2,000 5 years ago.
And we've got to talk about this, Adam, with all the different platforms. It is genius that you guys have opened the floodgate so that people that have shows to be touted and potentially award-winning that they can go for the gold with the Daytime Emmy?
There's a platform for everyone. When we talk about children's programming, when I grew up, it was 3 hours on Saturday morning.
Right.
Now it's 24/7 on myriad platforms. I was talking to some of the cast members of the various soap operas here when we were doing the red carpet earlier this morning, and we were talking about how several years ago many of the soap operas were being canceled, and some pundits were writing the obituary of daytime drama and so on. And I think what people missed out on at that time was not that there was a loss of interest in the genre. There were cultural shifts. Many people were going back into the workforce. You had more two-income families. There just simply weren't as many TV viewers at home in the middle of the day. But now, with time shifting and streaming, there is no rule that says you have to watch your favorite daytime drama in the middle of the afternoon.
Right.
You can watch General Hospital at 9 o'clock at night, Bold and Beautiful at 10:30 at night if you want to. And when you look at the streaming data, where General Hospital is one of the top shows on ABC Streaming and Disney+, where on Paramount Plus, Young and Restless and Bold and Beautiful are consistently a top show, where over on Peacock and the NBC app, Days of Our Lives tops the list. The audience is there. It is the clock that changed. And now the platform is able to catch up, and I think what we are seeing is a resurgence of daytime, because finally the technology allows us to enjoy this amazing content that the audience loves, and these stories that have been a part of our lives for generations can now fit into our schedules.
And that's the interesting key, the fabric of these stories and that thread that blends everyone together during COVID. Pretty exciting when some of the shows resorted to going back to a place and time that brought some history of the shows that the newer, younger audiences may not have known about the arcs of the old stories that have drawn them in even more into daytime. And in some respects, that is one of the big benefits of COVID for daytime drama, I feel.
For sure. You look at General Hospital, for example, going back to the storyline of Sonny's father, which actually garnered several awards for them a few years ago when they last focused on that storyline. And these shows have each been on the air for several decades. The youngest of them, Bold and Beautiful, celebrating its, I think, 35th anniversary with this coming season. And so we are now with multi-generational families that are watching these series, with younger generations of viewers who are discovering them, but the least likely to be watching them live on over-the-air television, but watching them on a mobile device, watching them on a set-top device, watching them on a time-shifted or binge basis. And so the technology is now connecting the audience to the story without those restrictions that I think had held things back in the early aughts and early 2010s.
I love it. And the fact that the buzz is that all my children may be going to prime time. This could be that added dimension for daytime once again.
The love of the stories never went away. It's the love of the clock that did, and now the tools are there.
Well, we do need to remind everyone to tune in on CBS on June 25th for the 48th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards. It's going to be an amazing show. We're looking forward to it. But I've got to ask, what should we expect for the 49th Daytime Emmy Awards?
Well, I don't see if there's any wood here for me to knock on, but the hope is that we will all be back together in person in Pasadena, and it should be a phenomenal weekend for that.
And nationally broadcasted on CBS.
Yes, we have a 2-year contract. We're already committed. We've already signed the agreement for the venue. We've already signed the agreement for the network telecast. So we will be from Pasadena on CBS next year.
This is BJ Korros and
Adam Sharp,
celebrating the 48th Annual Daytime Emmy Awards.
Thank you, BJ.